MPP challenges charges brought against South African nationals arrested in connection with suspected security threats as a Crown Circuit Court grants bail to the three men.
Holding the three men in custody unconstitutionally, the BNI finally charged them on the fourth day for unlawful training. Perplexingly, the crime that they have been charged with does not even exist under the laws of Ghana.
Meanwhile, the largest opposition party is also accusing the NDC government of exposing its flag bearer and running mate to life-threatening circumstances.
We will go as far as to say that the president and his government, with his government, is deliberately allowing the life of his main competitor or contestant for the 2016 presidential race to be endangered.
Tonight, we bring you details of court proceedings, hear from a legal practitioner, and speak to the NDC. This is today's big story with me, Kwache Afreniama. The new Patriotic Party is challenging the charges brought against 5 persons who are being interrogated by the Bureau of National Investigations in connection with a suspected security threat. As you may well know, the 5 include 3 South African nationals and the head of the MPP flag bearer, Nana Addo Dankwa Kufuor's security detail, Captain Koda. We'll hear shortly from the acting national chairman of the largest opposition party, Freddie Blay, who addressed a press briefing earlier today. But first, my colleague Raymond Nakwa was in court and joins me in the studio now with more details. Raymond, tell me first what's happened in court.
So the first claim from the government was to add an additional charge. With all this were known that conspiracy to commit crime and also unlawful training was what they were charged with. Government added an additional charge saying that they actually gave the wrong reasons for coming to Ghana to the immigration officers, contrary to the Immigration Service Act. So that was the third charge they brought on board. All of them denied being guilty of these charges. Then the prosecution demanded 2 weeks to be able to do some more investigation because to them this is a very serious security implication issue, so they ought to be given enough time. Then the lawyers for the accused opposed this particular call for 2 weeks, and the argument went back and forth as to this being a misdemeanor. These gentlemen are in the NPP's invitation. The NPP is an established political party in this country. They will not run away.
That was the argument of lawyers for the South African nationals.
Yes, they said that they will not run away because they are under, the direct control. Because, prosecution also argued that they have no permanent abode in this country. So we cannot really safeguard their stay here if they give them the bail. But the MPP said they will guarantee their stay and they'll be coming to court. They gave their statement willingly to the court. So these are not men who would want to run away. After all, they run international businesses. And the first one, the head of the team, was here before 2012 to train the same security setup for Nana Kufuor. And also last month, he was here with some executive of a big corporation. So he's not a man who just run away and leave his business just because he's being held for these charges. Then the court took some time off, evaluated all of these arguments and came to the conclusion that the argument of the lawyers for the accused stands tall. So the court said he will give them the, bail, but on 20,000 and also a surety per person. So they agreed to these terms. But there was another request from one of the lawyers of the accused, Atachia. His claim was that it's been consistent with the practice that these people engage in, that is those from the state. They would make sure that since today is Thursday, tomorrow is a holiday, Monday is a holiday, they would frustrate the process of granting the bail so that they can keep him in jail. Deliberately? Yes, deliberately, till Monday or Tuesday so that they can then release him. So the court should keep the 3 gentlemen with the registry because the gentlemen are now in the court's bosom. Keep them with the registry. We are very quick with actually meeting bail terms. We can meet it in 30 minutes. So keep them so that we can actually provide the bail terms. It's just money, and we are the people who are even going to stand surety for them in any way. So that is what they said. Then the agreement came in. The court said, if you don't try to stay that well, I'll be willing to indulge you. Let them stay with the registry. Immediately, the judge moved into her chamber. The BNI whisked the men away.
And this Atacha was pretty furious.
Yes, he was shocked first. He was asking, why are they going? Because, I mean, just when the judge left, the men also left. So, I mean, he was asking, where are they going? And nobody was answering his questions. So the prosecutor came to, I told you that I'll take them in for, some work. So what's your big deal? You concentrate on making sure you meet the bail terms. We will provide them and make them available when you need them.
And I'm wondering, were all 5 in court?
There were 3 of them. Only the South Africans were in court. Captain Koda, Captain Aqua were not in court.
Not in court.
And on the charge sheet, there was no reference to them anyway.
And some information we are picking up is that the charges against Captain Koda have been dropped now?
Yes, lawyers for the 3 who were supposed to be lawyers for the other 2, because there are about 6 of them on the bench on the other side, stated clearly that they know that the charges for these have been dropped, but they are shocked that they are still being kept with the BNI. So
Captain Koda and Captain Aqua
are still with the BNI today.
What about the 3? Have they been released now?
Up to this particular point, they are still being kept in the BNI cells. Atacha says he got the document before court closed their work, but could not get them. You see, transportation. They had to be transported back from the court to BNI cells, brought back from the BNI cells, come and take pictures and other things. He was told at the BNI office that there's traffic, there is so much that, and that we've closed work. You came after 4 p.m.
So certainly they are still in BNI custody. But the lawyer for these men, talking about Atacha, addressed the media after court proceedings. What did he say?
Yes, he was furious. He said this actually blights our democratic practice, and it's a stab in the face of prudent rule of law in this country.
Okay, we can now hear from lawyer Atacha.
It's in bad taste because, you see, we are disrespecting the laws of Ghana. And these are foreigners. Don't give any impression that this is a kangaroo, country in which they treat people anyhow. How can a court of competent jurisdiction say that take the accused persons to the registrar and then go and look at the houses of the sureties so that bail is granted? And then you just whisk them away, defying the order of the court, and you are sending them back to BNI. What kind of arrangement is this?
What do you intend to do about this?
Well, it's going to carry far-reaching consequences for them. If they do not, go through the bail processes today and they are detained, and we are almost in a holiday, it will have serious implications. We are not going to joke with this matter.
You think it was deliberate?
Probably so. He was challenging me. He was challenging me that I was going to take them in the face of what the judge said, that now release them to the registrar as you go and look at the houses of the sureties.
But he has explained that this is a process you have to go through.
What process? There's no process like that. I'm telling you that when you come to court,
to get your house, if he doesn't actually get the 2 men going.
How? Do you need a man to know my house? The surety? It doesn't accord with common sense. He's saying that we should go and look at the houses of the sureties, whilst the accused persons are with the registrar. And you can detail your security personnel to be at the registrar's office. And when you look at the houses of the registrar, that's the end. So what are they trying to do?
Today is Thursday. You suspect they want to keep him throughout.
It is very clear, but it will have grave consequences for them. I'm telling you, we are not going to lie low for them to treat us anyhow.
But you look helpless in this situation.
Oh, what can we do? We will not start any fight with them, but we'll use the law to bring them to order. Seriously so. That a court of law granted individuals bail, and they were whisked away to the BNI. For what? You are curtailing their liberty. Immediately you come to court, you have surrendered the security of the individuals to the court. You do not have control over them again. When somebody is admitted to bail, his whole fate is with the court and not the investigator. So why do you take them back? This is not law.
What's next for you?
Well, we're going to see what the registrar will say.
So that was lawyer Atacha. He's lawyer for the 5 men in court who are being charged by the BNI in connection with the training of some staff of MPP flag bearer Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We can now hear from acting national chairman of the MPP, Mr. Freddie Blay, who is also questioning the charges leveled against the suspects. He spoke at a press briefing earlier today.
The news was that the training they were offering posed a terrorist threat to national security. Later, holding the 3 men in custody unconstitutionally, the BNI finally charged them on the 4th day for unlawful training. Perplexingly, the crime that they have been charged with does not even exist under the laws of Ghana. What is unlawful training? Is there any law in Ghana that specifically regulates how a VIP protection personnel or a private bodyguard must be trained? Gentlemen, the BNI have not been able to show which part of the criminal code that they do the trial have breached. We see this as potentially a needless provocation of a diplomatic row between two friendly African countries for the sake of scoring a cheap and irresponsible political point. By this morning, the 3 men have been kept in custody for a 5th day, way beyond 48 hours. As the Constitution demands.
Mr. Blay is also accusing government of exposing their presidential candidate, Nana Akufo-Addo, and his running mate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to life-threatening circumstances.
The posture of the state authorities on this matter has led us with no choice. We have every reason to believe that the lives of our presidential candidate and his running mate are deliberately being exposed to high risk by the Mahama government. We will go as far as to say that the president and his government, with his government, is deliberately allowing the life of his main competitor or contestant for the 2016 presidential race to be endangered. It is important we disclose to the general public that the NPP have been receiving intelligence reports over a period of time that some people allegedly sympathetic to the government were planning to harm our presidential candidate, Akufo-Addo, and his running mate, Dr. Bawumia, and blame it falsely on an internal MPP on MPP attack. We had no reason to doubt the authenticity of the intelligence, though we did not wish to sound any alarm on this. Nevertheless, we decided not to sit idle, but to take steps to enhance the security protection around the 2 candidates and their spouses. Some local security experts were accordingly contracted to assist as training the personnel guards who offer close protection to our political leaders. As part of this exercise, the party decided to use the services of some of the best people in the business of VIP protection in the world. These men who have been detained have an enviable record of protecting heads of state in South Africa, especially at the difficult period of the transition from apartheid to democracy.
So that was the acting national chairman of the MPP, Freddie Blay. Let's now speak to private legal practitioner, lawyer Yao to help us get a better understanding of the legal processes going on now. Of course, I must say we also have on the line the Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, John Lawson. We'll speak to him shortly. Lawyer Yao, yesterday when I spoke to you, you mentioned that you didn't want to guess what the charges could be brought against them. A conspiracy to commit crime and undertaking unlawful training. Surprised about these charges?
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to you all, especially to my students at Central University. Well, conspiracy to engage in unlawful training, there's a similar provision under Section 189 of Act 29, and there is an important word there, which is military training or exercise. So you have to ask yourself, who is engaged in a military training or exercise? And that has been adequately defined by the various laws that are relevant. But the point is that this matter is before a court of competent jurisdiction. I am unable to determine what the outcome should be. But I can tell you that a charge like this can really require, as we all know, a proof beyond reasonable doubt. And proving without beyond reasonable doubt should be a very heavy, or is a very heavy proof or burden or onerous duty on a person who has preferred this charge against that person. So it will be interesting to know how this charge can be proved. But be that as it may, the important thing is that in a court of law, we speak law, and we talk about ingredients of an offense. And 189 has very serious matters in there that have to be proved. And I believe that these charges, which are at the end of the day effectively deemed to be charges preferred against persons who have committed an offense by the Attorney General or at her behest or authorized by her, would have been thought through, and that the basis would have only been legal consideration and nothing else. Of course, I mean, it is for a court of competent jurisdiction to determine whether the decision of the Attorney General or her agent is right or not to secure a conviction. That would be interesting to observe in court.
Tell me, Lawyer Paul, under what circumstances can someone be charged with these offenses, conspiracy to commit crime and undertaking unlawful training?
Okay, let me read specifically or verbatim Section 189 of Act 29, that if three or more persons meet or are together for the purpose of military training or exercise without the permission of the President or of some officer or person authorized by law to give such permission, each of them is guilty of a misdemeanor. Right. So what it means is that you have to identify, number one, whether they were in military training or military exercise, whether or not the President has authorized or some other officer or person authorized by law to give such permission has authorized. I'm not going to be in the position now to determine this, even though I can do that.
So that is for
of the respect we have for the court.
Very
so
well.
The point is that, so the point is that, as we said yesterday, there is the facts are that there is a private security company which has some association with these persons that are in Ghana. Now, such private company, we understand, can be given permission or license to operate and also to employ persons who have been licensed by the appropriate minister, in this case, the Minister of Interior, according to the airline. Now, what we have to find out is whether or not persons who are also in this country just to give instructions or as consultants also need the license, needs to be licensed to be an employee. In this case, they may not be employees. You understand? So I would like to just leave it as it is. But at the end of the day, the point is really that it appears we are very apprehensive because we are thinking of foreign non-citizens coming in to train people. The point is that, and maybe somewhere, in all cases, for me, the most heinous crime a person can cause to its own or his own country is overthrow a constitutional government. And in all cases, it is something. all those who overthrew a constitutional government were full-fledged Ghanaians. They were not foreigners. So I think that we may be stretching this thing too far.
You think that's one issue, one area we should look at. But tell me, under these circumstances, what does the criminal code say about the punishment for these offences? Well,
as I said, at least I've heard that one of the charges is unlawful training. At 189 is misdemeanor. It's just 3 years and below. Being incarcerated. But that, for me, 1 day of a person's life in jail is as important as 100 days or 100 years in the life of another. So the punishment may not be as important as the offense we are told the person has committed. So we will be, yes, sir.
Very well, Lawyer Pong. Finally, before we go, because we still have the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC on the line, just so that we're able to exhaust that discussion with him as well. Tell me, finally, what's your view on the fact that the 2 other suspects who were picked up by the BNI, including Nana Akufo-Addo's head of his security detail, who did not make any appearance in court? They were not brought to court at all by the BNI.
Well, we heard somewhere else that maybe charges may have been dropped against them for now.
Yeah.
The point is that all these persons would have been arrested, detained, or restricted based on a reasonable suspicion. And Article 14 empowers the police and the appropriate state agencies to arrest someone who they reasonably suspect to be engaging in, about engaging, or have engaged in the commission of a criminal offense. So that is okay. But that is where we say the people of Ghana have said that you can only detain them within 48 hours or detain them to court. Already we know that has been exceeded.
So they had to be brought to court today, you think?
Oh, yes, but any minute beyond that 48 hours, it's an unlawful detention.
Very well.
If we don't take care, our tax money is going to be used as compensation for them. But
very well.
So we'll be following it, and that's the matter according to law.
Thank you very much for joining us today as well, private legal practitioner, Lawyer Yao Pong. Let's speak now to Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, George Lawson. Mr. Lawson, you have some reservations with the MPP's latest revelation and claim that Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's lives are in danger. Why?
Thank you very much. Nana, let me just correct an erroneous impression created by the learned man who just finished. They said coup d'etats are not done by people from outside, but by people from inside. History has said that almost all coup d'etats that have happened on this earth had external forces behind it. So we should go and look. We should go and look at the declassified document, the CIA and the FBI.
Very well, Mr. Lawson, because we do not have too much time, I want you to address the question.
Yeah, that is false. That is false. Each and every Ghanaian needs protection. It's not only Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia who needs protection. And nobody is denying them protection. But the fact of bringing mercenaries into this country, it's our concern. Not concern as an NDC, but as a Ghanaian.
Those men are mercenaries. Even the BNI report has not described them as mercenaries, Mr. Lawson.
They are mercenaries to me because they came under false pretense. Because if you know what you are coming to, why do you say you are coming to do business? If you are going to the States, are you saying that the United States, are you saying that you know indicate what you are going to do? If you are a student, they give you student visa. If you are
let me put this to you.
Why is it that they didn't come? No, mercenaries. That's how mercenaries enter countries.
On the point you make, Mr. Lawson, hold on for me. On the point you make that these men are mercenaries, the MPP explains that when they were coming into this country, the equipment they brought were duly cleared by customs officials. And that's a clear indication that they were not doing anything on the blind side of security agencies.
Thank you. Were they security equipment? Were these security equipment?
Toy guns and all that they were going to use in their training.
Let me just, when they were training those that they said they were training, were those the things they declared? how to handle weapons? Did they declare weapons? Did they declare weapons at the point of entry? So what are they talking about? If you say somebody declared a chat or whatever, people and they said they were coming as businessmen. Let's look at that. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry can walk and do this. Look at what happened in Brussels, the capital town of Europe, the capital, the of what? The European Union, the state of the European Union. Look at what happened. How did those people enter Belgium? The same as these people. The same. The same. So what happened in Burkina, what happened in Cote d'Ivoire, people come into this country that they are businessmen, they are farmers, and then they become different things. They start to do different things. So we need to be very careful about it. It's not about Nana Akufo. No, we have so much. So the disgruntled military officers that they've engaged, can't they take their people? Those disgruntled, undecorated military officers that they have engaged, some of them, they brought them to MNC West by-election. Can they train those people?
Well, the MPP feels that the lives of their flag bearer, his running mates, are in danger. Yesterday, I spoke to Mr. Perekujetu, Deputy Communications Director of the party. They feel that the protection that the security services will provide is not enough. Number two, they come in very late, about a few months to the general election. Nanado will be going around the country even ahead of that.
So, due process must be followed. If you need security personnel outside to come and train people to protect your flag bearer, due process must be followed. If even the president is taking the security personnel to inform the U.S. government and U.S. security agencies, they are aware of those who are coming in. So why didn't they inform? Do you think this thing can happen in a very civilized and developed?
The MPP says that this same man was in the country in 2012. In fact,
then undercover. It was undercover on the blind side of security agents. Anything about security, the security agencies of the country involved must be aware of it. That's a secret. Anything about the security agencies in that particular guy and in that jurisdiction must be aware of it so you can monitor. So that when you are coming as a security person, the security personnel come here to keep. Ask that what visa on which what visa did they travel on? They have a specific visa for every job. So for them to come as businessmen and just be found in the bush somewhere training people, I mean, it's something that we must take seriously. We must take seriously. Look at what is happening all over. If laptops can be rocked like that, Paris, with all their sophistication, and look at poor Ghana, and you have these people just trooping in, just coming to do whatever. So are you saying that if every household in this country thinks they are...
Mr. Lawson, tell me, we are running out of time. We are running out of time, but tell me finally, will the NDC ever engage the services of private security personnel?
Not at all. I will not. Not at all. We have not, and we will not. Those who say they believe in the rule of law, look at what they are doing.
Thank you very much, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. As always, it's a pleasure speaking to you, Mr. George Lawson, the Deputy General Secretary of the governing NDC. Earlier, you heard private legal practitioner, lawyer Yao Pong. That will be it for today's big story. My name is Kwachi Afrenium. Have a pleasant Easter.